And hey, everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack. We also have,
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
well, there's another Superman trailer that came out days ago, and we are going to view it. I would like to say before we play this is, in the lens, I'm going to say this is fair use. This is promotional to the movie. We do not own it. We are just playing it. And to anyone viewing this post, maybe a month or so afterwards, we might have to remove the trailer. So right now, you can watch us reacting to it, and then later, if we get a strike or something like that, or copyright thing, we will be removing it if they don't want us to have it. So fair use, we're putting this in the line of fair use. And now, with all that said, the legal stuff handled, we're moving on. Ready, set, and go.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah,
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
sure.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some
it's
might.
a lot of
It's a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny?
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of
I
the
wasn't
United States.
representing
will cause
anybody except for
more
me.
problems around the
And
world.
doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die.
Could have let him die, Superman. Like Jonathan Kent said in Man of Steel. Maybe.
Hey, eyes up here.
Your choices, your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
Honorary SMG, bitch.
Superman is not a man. He's an it. It's somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation. I will not accept that.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
You have a dog?
All right, I'm handing the con off to you. What do you got to say?
9 out of 10. Now, I do have my criticisms, but theme music is definitely, I'm warming up to it. I mean, a lot of these scenes we've seen already, they're just expanded, but just some of the, at the very least, when I'm seeing some of the steps they're taking forward, and they're not the missteps they got taken with the last film, hey, what should I do? Let them die. Maybe. Like, no, you don't let them die. You don't let them die. That's what we would do in our world. Hey, they're using them as human shields. What should we do? Kill them? Well, I guess we don't have a choice. No, you don't kill them. So I like the fact that they're taking those particular steps with the character. My criticism, one, how many times has Lex Luthther broken into the Fortress of Solitude? Okay, it's a fortress. He might as well be breaking into my room. It doesn't make any sense to me at this point. Two, Superman's getting beat up too much. I understand that I guess they're trying to always go with this assumption that the general public believes that Superman is invincible, nothing can hurt him, or they've never seen a Superman movie before. It, this for me is like, look, I don't know how many times he's going to get smacked around, or we got, everybody and their brother walking around with kryptonite. That's never been a starter for me. You got this dude, he's indestructible. Come up with some good stories and challenges. You shouldn't have a problem. I'm seeing some shades of like Superman versus the Elite here. Let's see how they handle the whole thing. Oh, and I did like the interview that they had right there with Lois. Lois comes across just as arrogant as anyone would who doesn't have to make these decisions that Superman does. She literally asked him, did you consult with the president? Like he's an employee of the United States government or something. It's like you trespassed into another government. Hey, last time I checked, he's an alien. He trespasses the United States all the time. So those are good things to bring up. And I wonder how the question will be answered when he says people are going to die. Does that matter? Okay, or do we have to go and check these particular protocol boxes before we can actually keep people from dying? Superman has to make the decision as to who he can save, okay, which is very different from whose deaths he can prevent. And that's something the average person doesn't have to. We get to sit back and be arrogant and criticize. Superman has to go out and actually do the heavy lifting. What did you think?
There's some things. What did I like? I'm glad we got to hear his voice because I couldn't picture it from being carried around and stuff like that. So thought his voice was pretty good. I'm not too. Since you said we're gonna interview you as Superman, meaning that she already knows that he's Clark Kent and Superman, that sort of thing. I'm not with them throwing out the secret identity, even with this is. I mean, it kind of stems from the Buffy universe where she had a group. She was a vampire killer. And she had a whole group of friends, and people were like, well, why we need these people to have their group of friends? Now, I was always okay with Superman giving his parents, but
Lois
that,
and Clark.
huh?
No, I thought all that stemmed back to Lois and Clark. If you remember that episode.
No, which one?
There's an episode of Lois and Clark where this dude comes from the future and he humiliates Lois, saying, "Hey, oh Lois Lane, you're famous where we come from as being the dumbest woman ever. How could you not know he was Superman?" And she just sits there, she's just totally, destroyed by the whole thing. And Clark has to come over and do a big soft shoe. And she never puts it together like, hey, dude, you're from the future. If you were here, you would have been cool just like everybody else.
Well, that's another thing. I think always the fun of even the end of the Fleischers, him pointing, him winking at camera, or every chance George Reeves had to say something, hint that he was Superman, and nobody get it because it was something for us to know that he was Superman. Even the fact that they didn't play around with the glasses. They didn't even play like, oh, the glasses off, we can figure it out. They were just like, at points, you have him taking the glasses off, and she looking and it's like, no, this is what it is. Just stay to the convention, not to, oh, we broke the convention. Oh my God, it's over. Figure it out.
The big rule became that you can't have a secret identity and date the girl. So, that's lying to your girlfriend. So you can't date the girl and have a secret identity, even if it's to protect her. You can't protect her. She doesn't need your protection. Okay, so she gets, if she's your girlfriend, she gets to know. And then, of course, she can tell whoever the hell she wants as well.
Well, that's the other thing of having back in the day, you'd have you like Coming to America. They had plenty of stories of the prince or the frog, of the person going in and, trying to be normal. And then you find out that he's got these great stuff behind him, and like next thing you know, you're like, wow, I still want to marry him. Now it's like, oh, you saved the world and you did all this, man. You lied to us.
Hey, they would do that with the prince now. They would be like, huh? You lied to me. Like any woman in the real world would be like, oh, he lied. Well, are you kidding? He's a prince. I don't care.
Yeah, I think that's at least in Coming to America, they presented an option of her being with someone that was was Image, and now she was somebody that was kind of, as far as a person, the most put together person and the most belief in himself, even though he wasn't. He was just cleaning the floors at the McDowell's, and that was kind of what she was buying into, which was a little too much for her to do, like that sort of thing. She was doing it because of the other person, so at least that had the statement for why it was. But then, of course, she came around. But I'm not. They went. Now the thing is, I get it. You get to
I never believed that
Huh?
nonsense in the movie
What?
where she's like, "Oh, he's a prince. I can't believe you misrepresented yourself. I got to retreat and think about these things. Get out of here."
Well, I don't think about that. I think she just was like, oh, it was kind of, she was picking the right person, and then she found out, and she was like, I need a moment. And the father, who's totally against it, is now totally for it. Don't even need to know anything else. Did we,
In reality, the father would be 100% for it, and she would be ahead of the father.
Yeah, but
She would be like, "What? I better not screw this up."
so they've gotten some other things. The other problem is that these characters in black, these guys, they work with the government, or I guess Lex Luthther is the government, or whatever it is, when they're carrying Superman into places.
Yeah, everybody's the government.
This looks like what's the name? One of these characters, one of the robots, Doom robots that Will Simonson made. That's not a criticism. I like that part here. Eyes up here. The voice sound pretty strong. But yeah, I don't know why this girl and that guy are with the government. And they really, they're gonna make me say they're gonna got some real hillbillies to be his parents. We're gonna get you down there. My God, we're gonna get you that costume on, Clark. they got the tone down the being in the South. I've been down there from time to time.
Supposed to be out west. They're not supposed to have that accent.
Yeah.
I really wasn't hearing an accent, so can't say too much. I
Go
can't say
get him
too
for
much of
you.
that.
I go get them for you.
I cleaned your boots. Go get them for you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But anyway,
This has salt of the earth like a Midwestern accent.
it went too far for me. And with Pa Kent, he needs to lay off the drinking and eating, everything. He's not going to be around for too much longer.
At least now we know. At least now he's like looks like he's somebody about to have a heart attack. But well, they can't decide what they can't decide what they want to do. I thought like what they did on Smallville. I thought that was probably like the best, where they shouldn't be so old that they look like they're about to croak any second. Like this may be the last movie where we see them in, but you don't want them to look. I thought John Schneider and Annette O'Toole were perfect because this was going to be a longer running series, and they shouldn't be so old like they look like they're about to keel over dead. Okay, but they shouldn't look like they just stepped off of a magazine either. All the people, still put together at the end of the day, but not look like they just stepped off of a magazine. Then we get to the movies, they just, we had the Snyder, we were going to have Kevin Costner, and it was a Diane Lane, so it was going to be, hot and hot. Now we're going to know. Now forget that. We're going to get to like the salt of the earth people who are homely looking, overweight. So they can't decide what they want to do with that. I would just stick with people who are like, hey, you can have good looking people. I don't see that should not be a crime to do with them. But to be honest, that's just like so off the beaten trail and wasn't a big factor for me. I just like what he was saying more than anything else. That was in direct contrast to what we got with the last film. Like, yes, your choices matter, as opposed to you don't owe this world a thing, huh?
I gotta continue. So going on that track, I would still say, I think on the Lois and Clark show, those ones felt like they were closer to the ones. I think what's the name? They were you talking about Smallville. They were, I don't see was it John Schneider? I don't see him passing, but they had to do that moment because of the movie. But I don't know. This one I guess is trying to give you something to say it's different. Here we have some sort of talking going on here. So this little debate that's happening to tell you, hey, we have something different going on here, even though they do have some sort of relationship. And so giving you what Hollywood's saying, this is different from what happened before. The spectacle is as big as the other one, but it's not it's at the daytime, whereas I think the other Man of Steel had a lot of stuff, outside of the end fight, kind of dark and dreary and then desolate. So you have a lot of bright stuff here, which works. I think would work. You have this, you have the Fortress of Solitude that draws from, the Richard Donner, and then you have this jail thing that's going on here. And yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't. It's a thing. I'm still hoping for the best. I'm still not necessarily there, but it's a, I guess you could say, entertaining trailer. It's definitely an entertaining trailer. It kind of gives you more of the plot that this might be the start of it, leading them into a place where they had to put him in jail or lock him up, and is it going to be the big fight? Going to be him and Ultraman or whoever it is? Who's going to be doing the big beat down? And where are these guys when he's getting beat down?
I'll be honest, they've done a good job of keeping this under wraps, because who's the guy? This is the Authority in the film, but the way that it's acting, it looks like it's almost like a scene from Superman versus the Elite in Action Comics 775, when he has to fight this. Actually, it's an Authority analog group, and they're well. He ends up taking care of them, but they're initially it's something of a challenge for him. So that's what it looks like. I mean, we still don't know who the person is in the armor. There's like this loose alien about that we don't know who that person is. You can see some kryptonite. There's the kaiju. There's a bunch of stuff going on, and I'll give them credit that it hasn't leaked as to, hey, what exactly is the challenge for him? Is a challenge for him here? Who exactly is the bad guy? When we see that scene where he's all roughed up, he needs Crypto to come and get him. What was that from? Was that kryptonite? Was it really somebody that powerful? What is it that Superman is contending with in this film? And then, of course, we have the other stuff that they like to do with him now, where Superman is an American character, but they don't want him to. They definitely want a bunch of daylight between him and the United States government. So he's got to do stuff, and you got to do like the Captain America stuff, where he's Captain America, but for some reason he's always on the other side of the United States government. That's the only way we can tolerate and palate the character. Not saying the Cap has to go and be some jingoistic symbol, but that is the only way they think they can sell that type of particular character. Batman, no particular problem, because he's always against, he's not just against criminals, he's against the cops, he's against everybody. So that's great. We can always put ourselves into Batman, and it's not a big deal. But Superman is so synonymous with the United States, whether people want to admit it or not. They want at least, a good foot of daylight between him, and the government. So, I've seen this. This is just like a recurring thing that I've been seeing when it comes to his character. But again, for me, 9 out of 10. Really looking forward to it. I got my Metropolis Meteors T-shirt, so I'm ready to rock on day one.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they got a little, as far as color wise and look, they got a lot of stuff going for it. He sounds about right. I still have my misgivings about the costume, but there's not much we can do about there. And it seems like James Gunn does like his dirtying up the costume to give you some, I'm not sure what it's supposed to give you, but it gives you, I don't know. I guess it gives you the effect that he wants. That Superman is someone who gets his hands dirty when he's dealing with these criminals. So he's not afraid to get into the mud and deal with these guys. So however they are, and these people need to, you need to get out of the way. Not stop watching and run. You need to be from Brooklyn, or some say New York. Definitely from Brooklyn. They see something happening. Sometimes you might want. But at the same time, you see people coming, time to start booking. Close and get out of there. Stop standing around. Get away from the monsters. But
people don't know how to do that. People in movies are like attracted to the monster. They're like, hey, which way should we run? Away or to the monster? To the monster it is. They always do that.
And the other part is that we need someone to kind of get us out of the what's that thing, the Matrix revolutions. Kind of you fall, you get the ground 3 miles. Now it makes sense someone punch you and you go to the ground, that sort of thing. But the comic books kind of played with it, whereas the ground was almost like a fourth wall. So you could hit someone to the ground, and then they get up, and they might be a little in debt, but they wouldn't go too crazy where they go like it actually, or you getting punched by someone like Ultraman, the same power as Superman. Superman goes like, I don't know, 100 feet into the ground type of deal. You can't do it because it's like you got to play to the conventions. But at the same time, they want to have some, so like he's getting beat down, that sort of thing. So that's what it is. I haven't got a beat on Lex Luthther, so it's going to be kind of hard to figure what the angle is besides, I think it was also fun having Lex Luthther just decide, hey, the smartest man in the world should take on the greatest challenge of the world and then take it on Superman. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. So I think, outside, I guess, the TV show, the Lois and Clark, which had interest in, I guess he was, yeah, I keep mixing them up because the guy who was on Lois and Clark looks similar to the guy who was on Smallville. So the one, I don't remember too many episodes, but he seemed interesting. So always Gene Hackman, R.I.P. It was fun. That one on Lois and Clark looked interesting as Lois, as Lex Luther, and the one on Smallville, I think had quality to him, but he would seem very similar to the other one. So, but that wasn't a bad thing. So, I think we're trying to get but they kind of had something that wasn't like they were kind of into themselves and not just like the way the guy who's from the Social Network in Man of Steel was just like totally crazy, or like Kevin Spacey that was kind of like basically a criminal mastermind that couldn't get anything off the ground, and he's he's like what the Mad Thinker was in the comic books, who can only utilize other people's stuff. But anyway, looking good as far as the colors, the voice, and outside of the family, it's a little too old for me, but it should be an enjoyable movie. And all I can ask for, since the last Superman movie I saw, the storytelling was hella terrible. So I hope storytelling wise, this is going to be a clear, even if you do flashbacks, you do a linear story that people can follow the linear thing. The Man of Steel, linear wasn't, even if flashbacks, there should be some sort of linear thread. And every flashback took me way out of the story. And I was totally gone. And I was like, these flashbacks make no sense. And I understand that movies have gotten to the point where they say, because of loss, we want to trick you to make you figure out it's a flashback. And it's like, no, you're taking me out the movie. So I think if they win and just having a story I can follow, the same way it was easier watching Superman Returns, because at least it was something you could follow. And I watched, one of my favorite movies is what's that thing? The Usual Suspects. And it's a non-linear type of story, but you can follow the narrative. You can follow the storytelling, and you want to get these pieces. The pieces they were showing us in the Superman movie, I didn't want to. The Man of Steel, I did not want to see. It was totally taking me out of the story. It didn't add anything to the story. It was just moments that they threw in there that someone just said, let's mix it up. See, we're gonna do Usual Suspects here. Like, no, it didn't work. So anyway, any last words?
Well, I'm looking forward to the film, and I think they have done a very good job of couching what this film actually is. Because, I hear the other YouTube channels are, going ape scat over whatever little piece of information they can get. Rumors confirmed about, maybe like a screenshot within the film, but they got to have something to talk about. My biggest concern, well, did you hear about the promotion that they had with the dog biscuits?
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
There was a promotion they had with, I forget the name of
Doesn't sound good though, but
No, it wasn't bad. There was a promotion that they had. Hang on just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's a crypt. It was Superman. Is a comic that they had in there with crypto. Yeah, Superman, A Friendship Unleashed, #1. And this was part of a promotion with Milkbone.
Okay. Oh, because of crypto.
Yeah, so they got, box, cryptos on it. They got a I'm sorry. They got a box, cryptos on it, and they decided like, okay, they were going to give this out in promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Ace, right? I am a big time collector, but I don't own a dog. So because I don't own a dog, I had no idea about this. So now it's on the secondary market. They're asking a premium for it right now. Those numbers I expect will come down because they probably sold a ton of milk. They sold a ton of milk bone. So I think right now, like the high on it, I'm trying to see what would be. I think the high sale on it right now is like $100.
Mm-hmm.
I expect that to come down. I expect that to come down dramatically. Probably like 30, $40 would be right for the book, and a bunch of them already. Not a lot have sold, but there's enough copies out there. I'm pretty sure the majority of the people who bought it don't have don't have dogs. They were just looking. Would have been like me looking for resale, but I had no idea about this promotion, and I didn't find out about it until someone took a page out of my book, and after they got their copy, said, "Hey, did any of you guys hear about this?" Well, thanks, guy. It's too late now. It's sold out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my concern. If you're going to do these type of promotions, well, hey, fans like me should know. I went to a page, the entire page. Nobody had any idea about it. The only person who knew about it was a guy who was a dog owner who happened to buy milk foam. Okay, this should not happen again. The same way that they have they have a promotion for the Metropolis Media's T-shirts. I don't know how many people know about that. I happen to know about that because of some reading, but I don't think a lot of people know about that. It's a giveaway at. It's going to be a giveaway for Superman Night at the Cleveland. What is it now? The Cleveland. You know what they changed? They changed the name from the Indians. It's the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a promotion. You already had this promotion, which I'm gonna have to end up paying a premium to get this book. But you had the promotion for Superman with crypto, Superman Friendship Unleashed. His early days with crypto, according to the movie, and it'll probably have some other tie-ins as well. But people should know about it. People should know about it because it helps to promote the movie. So I don't watch a lot of regular television where you have those particular ads. You know, the standard television channels that'll come within any city or state, that type of stuff. NBC, CBS. I don't watch those channels at all anymore, so I don't see these ads. But I'm hoping that it's not like what it is here, because you have in me and some other guys, hardcore Superman collectors, and all of us were like, what promotion? And then for me to have to run to the secondary market and pay 30, $40 for a copy when I could have just bought the promotional box, which would have been fine by me. And then the promotional box is sold out. Okay, it's sold out. So it was already popular. Please make certain that you are pushing these promotions well. You got a good trailer, you have your tie-ins, make certain people know, okay? Because when you do that, you're going to get more rear ends and seats, and that's what you want.
So you're just basically saying you wanted to know this for the collectability.
Well, yeah.
I just want to make it clear.
I don't have a dog.
So, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I had to find a way to tie. I had to find a way to tie that into the trailer. I thought I did a good job.
So I'm just saying, wait a second. But at the same time, the fact that people turn even dog biscuits into collectibles is a statement of what time it is. Not saying you, but the people who bought it and bought it all out of. As a Superman collector, I would expect it. But out of people just saying, oh, yeah, let's buy all these off the stands. And it's like, do you have the dog biscuits packed as is? They haven't been opened. It's like, I got it signed.
No, I gotta go to I got to go to Petco now and see if they got it.
Well, that's another thing. The ultimate hard part of saying like that, well, just going totally out of it. But this is, say, the toy market. There are some Todd McFarlane Superman action figures. I'm not sure if they're posed or already posed or now, or posable. But the aspect of when you go to the stores, like a lot of people would gather and buy the hot stuff early, and then you'd see, what is this? A Blue Beetle here in Target? I gotta buy this. They would let them do, some obscure stuff. But yeah, anyway, the collectors out there, and they have some oddities for people that might not be looking in the same spots to find this stuff. So there's some good in that to turn the regular public to look at something and say, oh, let me grab this. So yeah, all right, so that's about it. We're closing this out. We're checking out Superman, and we're hoping for the best. Spin Rack.
We're out.
Is out.